yeah, firstly, thank you all for joining us today. Yeah, so I'm going to run through our brand new messaging and notification system. Yeah, it's a new feature that we've been working on for a little while. And yeah, it adds a lot more flexibility than the old system. Yeah, so I'm just going to run through today how Memo, our new notification system, works. To start with, I'm going to run through just the kind of basics of how to create message templates and schedule them to your guests. And then after that, I'll look at some of the more advanced features. Then we'll have a little bit of a break for questions. So if anybody does have any questions at any point, if you could put them in the chat, please. So if you can ask your questions in the chat, hopefully I'll cover a lot of them throughout the kind of first part. Diana will then kind of pick up any questions that I kind of haven't covered and ask them, and I will, yes, so I'll answer those. Then once that's done, the final bit will be for any of you that have multiple guides in your account and you've been using the old messaging system. There's an opportunity now to really streamline your messaging, and instead of having kind of one message of each type for every single guide, you can you'll probably be able to just streamline that to just having one message of each type across the whole account. Yeah, so the final bit is when I'll just show exactly how to do that. Yeah. Okay, right, we shall get started then. So yes, our new guest notification system is called Memo. There's a new part on the navigation bar here. And if I just click over here in my example account. So what we've done now is we've separated out message templates from the invitations themselves. Previously, you created an invitation and it kind of had the messages on there, and they were therefore linked to each guide. That did make it a little bit unwieldy. So what we've done now is we've separated out the templates and the invitations, and you can create a series of templates. And then when you create invitations, they pick up the relevant templates and they send out messages to guests based on the content that the content and the schedule that is in those templates. So yeah, if you click on the Memo tab, then the first one you'll land on is the templates section here. There's invitations there. We'll look at that in a moment. But to start with, we're going to look at invitations. So I have some in my test account kind of added here. So here you can see I've got an email, a couple of SMS, another email one. These two are going to go out immediately, and then this one, these two are related to the departure date. Yeah, there's so much more flexibility now. You can tweak and adjust kind of all of this to your heart's content. We also have a whole bunch of suggested messages which you can easily add to your account. They'll come with lots of pre-filled kind of content, which you then just need to tweak just to make it fit your properties or your business. Yeah, so if you want to add any of these, so we've got email and SMS templates. So if you just want to add one of our suggested ones, then you just click on them here. There is also a custom message option at the bottom, and that will basically give you a blank template. Okay, so I'm just gonna add another one here. So I've chosen this one, access and Wi-Fi. Yeah, so I'm just going to run down through kind of creating a message template. So we have the name here to help you identify it. The next thing that you can set is the recipient, and that is in most cases going to be the primary guest. So that will be the guest contact details on the invitation. But you can also have a fixed recipient. Okay, if you wanted to send a message to yourself or to one of your team to let them know that a guest is coming or leaving, or yeah, any other reason, then you can choose a fixed recipient as well. So this one here, I want this to go to my primary guest because it's letting them know about the Wi-Fi code and how to access the place. Yeah, then the schedule is when the message is going to send out. Yeah, you can send it immediately as soon as it's created, or you can set a schedule, and then hopefully this is pretty self-explanatory. You can just choose the time period, so it's the number of days or weeks, and then before or after, and then the arrival or the departure date, and then finally you can choose the time of day. The time of day is the time zone of your will be at the time zone of where your guide is. So each guide, we recognize the time zone from the coordinates of the map location, and yeah, the time of day will be the time of where your guide is. And then within here, send criteria. We'll come back and look at criteria in a bit, because the criteria is one of those more kind of advanced features. So to start with, we're just gonna leave that here, and then the final bit of your message template is the message content itself. And one of the key things to make message templates work across multiple guides is the ability for you to add shortcodes to the message templates. Okay. And shortcodes, just really simply, are just a means of having some data that is coming from either the guide or the invitation populated on that message automatically. So a really nice simple example is this shortcode here, guest first name. And yeah, that, as its name suggests, that will be replaced by the first name of the guest on the invitation. So you don't need to change the name of the guest each time. If you have, 6 messages, each of them can just have guest first name in as the shortcode. And then when you create your invitation and you put the first name in there, then it will populate that automatically on those message templates. Another one is guide name, so that you can have the guide name in there as well. And again, that will then change so that the guide name will be the guide that it's being sent for. Okay, there's a whole bunch of field codes that you can add as well. Yeah, you can just insert them. So this one up here would be to insert it into the email from name. This one is for your subject, and then this one here that's in with the other tools for the navigation bar. These are accessed from here, and then, as I say, there's just a load down here. So things such as the guide name, the invitation link. Yeah, if you wanted to put parts of the address in, you could do that. You could put the guest's name, arrival date, departure dates. There's various things. Say, I'm not going to go into all of them here, but you'll find that there's quite a lot of useful fields that you can now drop in, and that allows you to create one message template that you can then use across lots of different guests and lots of different guides. Okay, so I'm just going to click submit on this one here. And that's now added that to my notification workflow. Okay, so yeah, you can now add as many kind of email or SMS templates as you want and build up a guest notification journey. Yeah, as I say, once your message templates are in place, then you can create the invitations, and the invitations will then run based on the message templates that you've created. Okay, now just a quick word here that if you're one of our existing users, then you will have had a whole bunch of templates copied over from the old system. Okay, so just a reminder that at the end of this webinar, I'll talk about how you can tidy up your message templates and get them into the newer versions. Okay, great. So I've got a bunch of message templates here, and I'm now going to create an invitation. So for the invitations, you just go onto the invitations sub-tab of the memo page, and from here you can invite by email, SMS. Yeah, it's another change to the other one. Previously, you had to choose either email or SMS, but now you can do them both on the same invitation. If you only have an email address or you only have a phone number, that doesn't matter. You can just put that in, ignore the other, and yeah, obviously it will only your emails will send out to a guest with an email address, and only your SMS templates will go to guests with a phone number. Okay, so yeah, click on here, can select the guide name, very imaginatively called Memo Test A and Memo Test B. Just going to fill in a bit of information here, and then we'll see the message templates that. The country code here will default to the country of your guide on the assumption that most of your guests will be from your country. But if you want to change that, then you just click in here, and then you can change the country code. And then this number, don't put the country code again. So yeah, just pop the number in here without any leading 0 and without the country code. Great. So I'm just going to set some dates there. And then, yeah, the lead time hasn't changed from before. It's what allows you to hide any parts of your guide until just before your guests arrive. There's more detail on the lead time and the access levels in the knowledge base. I'm not going to cover that now. It's a bit of a slightly separate topic, but this just functions exactly as it did before. There is one other option though, which is new, which is that you can allow access after the departure date. Okay, so if you want to allow that, you want to have the invitation not expire on the departure date, then you can check that box. Okay, and there's a default settings that I can show you later as well. Okay, so I filled in the information about my guests, and I'm now going to click next. Okay, so I've clicked next, and the system has gone away and it's looked at all of the message templates that I have in place, and yeah, it's picked up all of these the message templates here, and it's now going to schedule them accordingly. If I did notice that I've made a mistake to the guest name or the dates didn't look quite right, then you can go back and edit the invitation details from here. If you did want to remove a particular message, then you can remove it. If there was one that was scheduled for the future and you want to send it now, then you can do that. And if you want to edit the message content itself, then you can also do that from here. All those options are found within the 3 dots menu on this message schedule screen here. Okay, so yeah, if I wanted to edit one, then I would click in there, and then this shows me when the message is going to send, who's it's going to go to, and the content of the message down here. Yeah, if you do want to change the message content here, then you can do that. Just be aware that you're disconnecting it from your templated message. So if you were to at a later point make some changes to your templated message, then it's not going to change a message which you've effectively customized. Due to that, we'll kind of lock this screen until you check this box here saying change to custom email content for this recipient. So at the moment, this is all locked and I can't make any changes. But if I tick this box here, then they'll open up and you can start making some edits to it. So that's if you needed to write a personal message to a particular guest that's a little bit different to your template one, because I don't know, you've had a conversation with them and you know that they're coming for a particular event or something and you want to reference that in the message, then you can do that. You just need to change the content to being custom. Okay, I'm gonna cancel this actually on this one though, so I'm just gonna have mine as my default. So yeah, as I say, you can make any changes and edit any messages from here. And if you wanted to add a completely new message to this particular guest, then you can also do that from here as well. So you could add a completely custom email or a completely custom SMS and add that as part of your message schedule. And then as soon as you're ready and you're happy with that, then you click submit, and the system will then schedule those messages, and they will start getting sent out on schedule to your guests. You don't need to do anything else from that point. Those 5 messages now, I can pretty much kind of forget about them. They're all going to go out on schedule, alerting my guests to come and view the guidebook. Okay, 1 second. Okay, great. So that I think is pretty much it in terms of the kind of basics of Memo. So just a recap of that, and then, as I say, I'll look at some of the more advanced features. Okay, so just a quick recap. You create your notification journey by creating templates, and the templates consist essentially of who you're going to send it to, when you're going to send it, so that's the schedule, and then the content that you want for your message. Okay, then with invitations, you then create invitations, and invitations then you fill in the guest's information on that, and then the messages get sent out, and by using those field codes, the message content will change for the particular guide and the particular guest, so it will automatically fill in the guest's name. And yeah, if you want to see, so if I now go into view or edit, let me just do that again. So I'm on my invitations table here, and I'm going to look at my invitation, and I'm going to say view or edit, And then this opens up that message schedule screen again, and we can see that these first two, these post-booking ones, these ones have now sent because they were due to send immediately. These other ones are scheduled based on the time that they should go. And if we view one of these sent messages, then what we can see is we can see the actual message that was sent. And so here you can see where my field codes had the guide name. It's been replaced by the guide name. And down here, we can also see that the guest name has been populated where the guest name field code was. Yeah, cool. Okay, so hopefully that's all pretty straightforward. We will now start looking at some of the more advanced features. So with those field codes, there are many standard field codes, and the standard field codes are essentially based upon either information about the guide, such as the guide name or the guide address, or information about the guest, such as the guest name or their arrival date or their departure date. But you can also create custom field codes. Now, the reason you might want to do that is there's kind of two reasons, really. One is that you want to have additional information to go into the message. So, for example, a lock code. You could create a custom field code for a lock code. And then when you fill that in on the invitation, that specific lock code will populate on the message with the lock code for the guest. You might also want to have one that's in relation to the guide, such as a review link, a specific link to the review page for that particular guide. Yes, so one reason for field codes is to populate information on those messages that are either about the guide or the guest. The other reason that you might want to use field codes is if you want to create special criteria. So that was one of the things when we looked at the template, I said I was going to come back to this. Criteria allows you to use different message templates on different guides or on different guests, depending on what you need to do to suit your business. Yeah, so the ones that I just created initially were just an always send. So they're just going to send to all of my guests and all of my guides. But we're going to look at now about how we can create some different criteria to send different messages depending on the guest. Okay, so the custom field codes are accessed from this link up here on the memo page. And that is a shortcut to take you to the account page, which is where the custom fields can be added from. So I'm just going to add some custom fields here. So you click on the new custom field button, and then the first one I'm going to create, I'm just going to call lock code. And this is going to be different for each user or guest. So I choose the user or guest. And then there are various different types of field codes. I won't go into examples of all of them today. As with everything in TouchStay, there's more information about kind of everything on these little help icons. So yeah, have a read of those. And of course, there's more information in the knowledge base as well. But yeah, you have a few different options. For my lock code, I'm just going to choose this as a text. And then this here, the substitute value, we have this in case the data for the custom field code is missing when the message gets sent out. So in the case of a lock code, what it might be useful is to have a message that says, please call if code is missing. And what that means is that if you ever do forget to add the lock code in, then rather than just blank on the message, it will have something that's a bit more useful, such as please call if code is missing. So I'm just going to save that now. Okay, and then I'm going to create another one. And this time, I'm going to create a guide one. So this is going to be a review link. Okay, and this is going to be a guide custom field. And this one is going to be a link, so that when it goes into the message, it will be a clickable link. And my substitute value here will be, just in case I don't put it in for the correct one, I'm just put my, whoops, my generic link. So rather than being one that's specific to a particular guide of mine, this is going to be just a kind of link to my website, just in case I don't ever put it in there. And I'm going to click save on that one. And then finally, I'm going to create another one now, which is going to be an example for if you want to classify your messages slightly differently. And this was actually a question that we had from a customer a couple of hours ago, and I thought that will actually be quite a useful example to use in the webinar. So I'm going to use that now. And the question was that they send a different message to their guests depending on whether they book direct or whether they came through one of the OTAs. And is that possible to have different message templates? And the answer is yes, it is now possible with Memo. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to create a new custom field, and we're going to call it booking type. And that is going to be a user or guest one, because it's whether the user or the guest has come from the OTA or direct. And this time we're going to create a list, okay? And our list values are going to be direct and OTA, okay? And then I'm not going to put a substitute value on this one because we're only really using this for criteria, okay? So I'm going to save that. So I've now got 3 examples here of different custom fields, okay? So this one here, this review link, this is linked to the guide. So I'm going to need to update this on the guide, okay? So I'm going to head over to my guides page and click on my first guide. And then if I scroll down to the bottom, there's now a section called Guide Custom Fields. And I click Edit on that. And here we go. The review link, the one that I've just created, is now there. So this is where I can now put in my link that is specific to this particular, specific to this particular guide. There we go. Okay. Cool. So if you ever create any custom fields that relate to the guide, you then need to go onto the guide itself and put that information in there. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to Memo, and this is where I could now add. This is what I'm going to now add. To start with, I'm going to add my custom field codes to some of my messages, and then we'll look at creating one that's using the criteria. Okay. So I've got my review link, which I've just added to my guide, and in the post departure message is the one where I'm asking for somebody to review my properties. So I'm now going to replace this here with the shortcode review link. So within my field code here, scroll down to the bottom, and those ones that I've just added, they're all now available here, and I'm just going to drop review link into there, and that will now, just the same as any other shortcode, it will now be replaced by the relevant data when the message goes out. So yeah, that's all I need to do on there. And then a similar thing with the lock code on this access one here. This is where I'm now going to add my lock code into my message template here. So to access the property, and then I will just drop this one in here. Okay, that's all good. So now I can save that. And I've now got my custom field codes in there. So now in my access and Wi-Fi message, when that goes out, it will then be replaced by the code that I put in there. Okay, so the final example that I was going to use with these custom field codes links in with the ability to set criteria. Okay, so the example that I started with was having different messages for guests that are direct booking or whether they come from the OTA. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my my first message here is going to be my direct booking. So I'm now going to call this direct. And then within this area here for send criteria, rather than always send, I'm now going to choose criteria met. Okay. And this is where you can then add the criteria to determine whether this template is used or not. So I want this to be based on booking type. So I'm going to say use this template where booking type is equal to, and then here we're going to choose direct. Okay, so with these criteria, yeah, you essentially create a statement, and if that statement is true, then that message will be used. So yeah, use this template where booking type is equal to direct. there are many uses that you could use this criteria for. If you have seasonal rentals, for example, and you want to send a different message to guests that stay in the winter than to those in the summer, because of either different activities, or maybe there's fire bans that are more likely in the summer, then you could do that. Within here, you could choose arrival date, and then you could set the arrival date between a particular period. By having arrival date is after, say, 1st of May, and then you would add another level of criteria and say the arrival date is also before, say, the 30th of September. Yeah, again, I won't go into too many different examples, but most of the field codes you can choose in here, and then you can set criteria based on them. The options that you'll have in here will vary depending on what you've chosen. If you've chosen a date, then you'll have things like on or before, on or after. If you've chosen numbers greater than or less than, and yeah, for one such as this, which is a list, I've just got equals or not equal to. Great, so I can click submit on that now, and that's just a warning that it's changing my existing message template. I'm going to click yes. So there we go. I've now got my post booking, and this is for my direct guests. Okay, and then all I would do is I would then just create another one, and I would set another criteria, but this time the criteria would be for the OTAs. Okay, and if the message was going to be similar, then I can actually copy this one. So I could copy this, and I can just say OTA, and then down here I change that to be OTA, and then I would change the wording in here to be to match whatever it is that I the different message that I want to send to those different guests. Okay. Yeah, when you're adding new templates, you'll be asked a question: do you want to apply it to new or new and current? New and current will basically send it to any of your existing guests that that haven't yet ended, they haven't left, so they're either with you now and they haven't left, or they're going to arrive in the future. Okay, so in my example here, I don't want to send it to that invitation that I've just created, so I'm just going to choose new only on this one. And there we go. I've now got my two different messages here, one for the direct bookings and one for the OTA. And then if I go to my invitations, and now when I create an invitation, you'll see that at the bottom, those two custom field codes that I added as set as being the user or the guest type, then I can enter those here. So I'll be able to put the lock code in here, whatever that is. And then within here, I would choose whether they were direct or OTA. And then based on that, the correct message would get picked up. So yeah, as I say, custom field codes and the criteria is definitely a bit of an advanced feature, but it allows you to really customize the kind of messages that you send to your guests, and yeah, customize them as you need to fit your business. We're going to be over time, we're going to be adding more and more kind of examples on our blog, so keep an eye out for our blog. We've already got one really good article up already about the different kind of uses of Memo and different ideas, and I'm sure people on our Facebook community will be, you know, swapping different ideas for how you could use this. And yeah, if you do have any questions at all, then after the webinar, then of course just do reach out on the support form that usually comes through to myself or Diana, and we will get back to you. Okay, so that's kind of pretty much it from the first part of the webinar. So Diana, do we have any questions that people have been asking that I've not covered yet?
Yes, well, maybe we can just go through some of them just okay, to make sure everything is clear. So Raya is asking, do you have to manually enter each guest? I guess it's meaning about when creating the invitations.
So when creating the invitations, at the moment, you do need to either enter them manually. The other options that we've got for that is we've got our two integrations, which is one with Booking Sync and one with OwnerRes. And then the third option that we have is that we also have a CSV uploader, so that if your booking system generates a CSV of bookings, then you can take that and you can just import it into TouchState, and it will process all of the invitations that are in that CSV and generate the invitations and therefore the messages based on that. One of the things that we will be doing with the product over the next few months is we were going to be rapidly increasing the number of integrations that we've got. So yeah, if there is a particular system that you want us to integrate with, then do let us know, either the Rockstars community on Facebook or let us know this through the support line. Yeah, as I say, now that we have this new messaging in place, we will be rolling out more and more integrations. But for now, it's either OwnerRes, Booking Sync, CSV Upload, or otherwise, then yes, it is manual creation using the process that I've just shown then.
And talking about that, Nikki is asking, will pull the booking details from OwnerRes or any other integrations that we're going to have in the future?
Yes, yeah. So the way it works with OwnerRes and with Booking Sync is that when the booking comes in, the information comes down the API, an API connection with OwnerRes, and it basically fills in this information on here automatically. So it gets the guide correct, it fills in the name, the contact details, the arrival date, the departure date. At the moment, the custom fields aren't hooked up to OwnerRes, but the team are working on that right now. So that will be coming within the next kind of couple of weeks. We'll have custom field codes where you'll be able to map the custom fields to OwnerRes fields. Yeah.
This is from Jim. He's asking, can you have a back and forward communication with your guests, such as I do right now with using text?
Right. So at the moment, our memo system is just one-way communication. We do have plans to add two-way down the line. For now, it is essentially a notification system just to get guests to use that guidebook. So yeah, our kind of first template message has a sentence at the end that says, you know, if you need to contact us, then use the contact details on the cover of your guidebook. So in some ways, it's a good way to point people to use the guidebook because the contact details are on the guidebook. So make sure you open the guidebook so that you can, well, hopefully find the answer to your question. And if not, then the contact details are on there. So if you've got your cell phone number on the cover of your guide, then the guests will be able to just click that and start an SMS conversation with you.
And just to clarify to Jim, so when you create the invitation and you add the email address of the guest or the phone number, they will receive that message in their mobile phone, not through our TouchStay guidebook. Because he's a little bit confused where are they going to receive the communication?
Well, sorry, I didn't quite understand the question there. Sorry.
He says when you create a new guest and send the welcome via text with this platform, do they receive it on their mobile phone or through their TouchStay app?
It's on their mobile phone, yes. So if it's SMS, then it goes through their standard messaging app. So if they're on an iPhone, it will come through iMessage, and if they're on Android, then it will be their messaging app. That is another thing that we are looking at for Memo 2.0, which will be two-way, is whether there'll be kind of chat within the app itself. But for now, yeah, if you send it by SMS, then it will go through the standard SMS service that they use on their phone, so iMessage or Android Messenger.
Thank you, Joe. Are we planning to link with SuperControl or integrate with SuperControl?
Yes, they are on our list. Yeah. I don't have a timescale on it yet, but they're on our list. Yeah.
Chris is asking, we send the links to the guidebook to the guests via WhatsApp. Is that possible, or is only by text?
At the moment, it is just SMS, but WhatsApp is another thing that we have on our wish list. Yeah, so at the moment it is just text, but yeah, we hope to be adding an option for WhatsApp fairly soon.
Well, we have one is a little bit long, but it says, we have not used Memo yet, but I have run into a dilemma. I have a guest that disregards the link that is sent to them, even though it says it's coming from me with the name of the cottage. But with so many scams these days, they are afraid to click on the link.
Right.
Any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one. as you say, that there are so many scams and things these days that people do need to be wary. I guess if people are that wary, then however you have initially communicated with them, so that they've got that kind of trust, let them know from there that there's another message coming with a guidebook. And then, you know, if you've actually told them that there's another message coming, then yeah, hopefully that will overcome people's kind of concerns around that.
Thank you. Can you change the invitation email address that it comes from so guests can reply to it?
And at the moment, no, but it's another thing that should be coming. So at the moment, it's a no reply message from TouchStay. As I say, in some ways, I think this is a good opportunity to push people towards using the guidebook. So have something in the message that says, you know, this is no reply email. Use the contact details on the guidebook, and then, you know, there's the guidebook link. Hopefully, people will often find the answers and won't actually need to contact you.
Kate is asking if we are planning to add iCall link.
Are we planning to add iCal link? Possibly, yeah. I'm wondering whether to add iCal, would that be to automatically generate the invitations? That is one thing that we could do. The one thing that iCal doesn't have is kind of guest information. So it wouldn't be able to send out the links automatically, because iCal, whilst it would give us the dates of the stays, it wouldn't actually give us any contact details to send it to. So yeah, it is something that we're considering in line with some other features that we've got planned, which I won't go into now. But yeah. The main limitation of iCal at the moment is the lack of contact details that's in there. So that's why at the moment it doesn't really fit with the way that Memo works, because obviously we need the contact details for how to send the guide to the guest.
And I think the last question is, sorry, I just lost the one that, can you automatically send a couple of emails to yourself? I guess to taste.
Yeah, oh, most definitely. Sorry, I probably should have said that. Yes, and certainly if you've created any criteria or anything, then definitely test things by sending them to yourself, and you can send as many as you want. I've sent myself hundreds of messages whilst doing the testing for this. Yeah, so just put your own details in there and send them, and then you'll see them come through to your phone and to your email account.
Can we still see that the guests have read or opened the guidebook or the message?
Yes, so the views count here gives you an indication of whether the link has been clicked or not. So yeah, that's the same as before. The old way had kind of ticks if something had been sent or not sent. We've removed that from the table now. One, because you can have so many more messages now that we just simply couldn't fit them all in a single table. And the other reason was that basically things always sent on schedule unless something had fallen over on our server, and we're constantly monitoring that. And if things do fall over, we just restart them again as quickly as possible. So it didn't, the kind of sent didn't offer a huge amount of information. If you are interested, then you can see the status of each message just by going in here, and then you'll see the status here. So I can see sent, and then these ones are ready. But the important one for if a guest has viewed it or not, has actually accessed it, even if they've got the message, but they haven't actually clicked on the guide yet, you know, that's the important one. Have they actually accessed it? And that's the view counter here. So the views tells you the number of times that they have. And then there's a filter just up here. So you could filter by opened or unopened. And unopened is simply if the view is 0. Opened means more than one view. Yeah.
On that question, sorry, on the previous question, can you actually automatically send a copy of an email to yourself? So you can see what guests have gotten, and if you have to forward it again, you can do it.
No, there isn't the ability to kind of CC the message at the moment to go to another email address. I do quite like that idea though, so maybe that is something we'll add in the future. In the meantime, there is the option to resend messages. So from here, the message schedule here. So if you want to see what was sent, then when you go into view message here, then you can see what was sent. And as I showed earlier, that shows when the field codes get replaced by the actual data, so you can see what was actually sent. If a message has been sent, but they're saying they haven't received it, then you can use this resend option here. So if you click resend and then submit, then it will resend the message again.
And the last one for Harp is, are the text message replies actually disabled?
So with the text message replies, if somebody replies to the text message, then we have an automated message that goes back to them that says, this number doesn't accept replies. Please use the contact details on the cover of your guidebook. So they do get a notification. It doesn't just go into a black hole. They get a notice that tells them to use the contact details on the cover of the guidebook. Once again, pointing them towards the guidebook to use it.
And this is like, suggestion and a question as well. How do we know they have received and read the message or the text message? Any chance of warning if they haven't, so the guests turn up and can access the property? And I don't know if they haven't opened it.
Right, so it's not so easy to track opening of SMS messages and in fact emails, because a lot of email clients block the sending of kind of read receipts and things, just out of privacy concerns. The one thing that we do have, the one thing that they can't hide is the views, because the views is if something is downloaded from our server. So that's how we know if somebody has viewed it or not, because they've downloaded the guide from their unique link. Each invitation has a unique link. And if that unique link, triggers a download from our server, then we can record it as a view. So to know if the guest has had it or not, it's this views count here, okay? And you can, as I say, you can filter. Once you've got a bunch of invitations in here, you can filter by the unopened ones, and you would then be able to see the ones that were unopened. And in fact, on the guides page here as well, this number here with the closed envelope is unopened invitations. And if you click on that, then you'll see the table that is filtered with unopened guides only.
If they have not viewed the message, can we get a warning?
I will add that to the wish list. Yeah, that is something that we can certainly look at doing. So yeah, I guess we'll probably need to put like a time scale as to if the guest hasn't viewed it in a week before or something. Yes, we'll certainly look into that, but it's not something we've got at the moment. At the moment, there is just there's the visibility on the guides page that we just looked at, and then the ability to filter by opened or unopened on the invitations table.
I think so far we have replied to all of the questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are not. Are we planning to integrate with SiteMinder and Little Holiday? Hotelier, sorry.
Holiday is on the list. SiteMinder, I can't remember, to be honest. We can check that though. We'll be announcing kind of any new integration partners through our newsletter and through the Rockstar community on Facebook. And as I say, if you have particular requests, then do let us know.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, great. Oh, there's some great questions there. Yeah, so yeah, thank you all for that. So if you just have a single guide in your account or you've never used Memo before, then you can probably stop watching now, because the next bit that I'm gonna show is if you are an existing user and you've got a whole bunch of message templates that have been created by us migrating you over to Memo, then I'm going to show you now the easy way to kind of tidy those up and get them ready to use the nice simpler versions with short codes rather than a message for every single guide. So yeah, to do this, I'm just gonna log out of this account here. Log into another one here. Right, okay, so this is an account which was an existing one beforehand, and it's got 66 message templates that were copied over from the that were copied over from the legacy system. And yeah, as you'll be aware, the legacy version, you had a message for every single guide. So just in case people had got, different messages for each one, and it's quite common to have, the guide name within there, but it would be typed. We didn't have shortcodes before. So each message was linked to a particular guide. So what we did when we copied them over was we basically added criteria. So that criteria that I've just shown you, we essentially had a criteria that said criteria, use this template where guide name is equal to Beach Oasis in this example. So there'll be one for every single guide. There'll be a send criteria that says use this when the guide name is equal to that, so that it matches exactly how things were before. And if I scroll down to my example here, then yeah, I've got this one that says, we hope you're excited about your upcoming stay at Beach Oasis. Okay, so that's kind of fixed. So what we're going to do now is we're gonna tidy these all up, and we're gonna create versions that are kind of generic. So I'm just gonna close this. So one of the things that you'll notice if you've had messages copied over is that the status for all of them is active and then legacy. Okay, so they're active at the moment, meaning that if you didn't want to make any changes, then you could just keep inviting guests just as you have been, and we'll keep picking up those same messages that you used before, and essentially, nothing will have changed and you don't need to do anything different. But yeah, we want to tidy ours up. So on the templates table, right at the top here, and the column headers, there's a 3 dots menu at the top here, right at the top, and there's an option here to archive all legacy. So I am going to click that, and that is now going to archive all of my old legacy messages. Okay, these here are a bunch of test ones. So we'll ignore those for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change my filter here to be archived. Okay, and then all of those messages that I've just archived are now here. Archived messages basically they're still there as a record of them. They just won't be used on any new invitations once something's been archived. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a copy of one of mine and I'm going to convert it into a new message template. So I want a main message email, and I'm going to choose copy. Okay, and this says main message Beach Oasis copyright. This isn't going to be fixed to Beach Oasis anymore. This is just going to be main message. So I'm just going to take that out. And then down here in the criteria section, I'm going to change this to always send. Okay, so it's no longer fixed to just that one property or that one guide. And then in here, I'm now going to replace where it says Beach Oasis, and I'm going to put in the field code for guide name. Okay. And then I've got another reference to the guide name down here. So I'm just going to do the same. There we go. So I've now converted my old message that was fixed to one particular guide to a generic one. Okay, so it's just now called my main message. I've changed the criteria to always send, and then I've changed any references that were specific to a particular guide. I've changed those to the field code guide name, so that will then change automatically based on the guide that I send this message for. Okay, there we go, that's all good. So I'm just going to click submit on that. And then if you're doing this process, do make sure that you choose new only, because what we're doing is we're taking copies of messages that will have already been applied. So make sure you choose new only here, because otherwise you'll duplicate if you choose new and current on when doing this process. So just choose new only. There we go. Okay, so that's done now. And then basically you just repeat that process for each of your messages. So I've got an SMS one here, so I'm just going to do that as well. So I'm going to take that out, main message, and I'm going to change criteria net to always send. And then I'd use the default message from the old system, so this has already populated those in there, so that's all good. And then I can click submit, and yeah, there we go. And then oh, yeah, okay, that's all good. So now I'm going to do that to my first. I'm going to find a first reminder. There we go. So I've just typed first into there, found one of my old first reminders, and yeah, just going to repeat the process. So I'm going to take out that reference to Beach Oasis. And I'm going to change the criteria net to always send. And then once again, I'm just going to change the name here to guide name. Making this template now nice and generic. And yeah, I can now save that. And we're all good. Okay, so once you've done this process, then we can go back to our message templates, and you'll end up with new message templates that are generic. Okay, they're no longer fixed to a particular guide. They are linked. They're generic ones that will work across across all of your properties. Yeah, replace anything fixed with the new shortcodes. Take out any criteria, and yeah, you'll be good to go. So yeah, are there any questions around that have cropped up, Diana?
No, no questions so far.
Okay. Hopefully that process was clear. As I say, up here you'll find an archival legacy that'll move them all into the archive status, and from there you can then create copies and save them, and yeah, whilst taking out any criteria and anything that fixed it to a particular guide before. And yeah, you should be able to get your messages down from, yeah, I don't know, however many it was before, depending on the number of guides you've got, down to just a handful. Okay. I think that's kind of pretty much all that I needed to show everyone. As I say, there's more guidance on all these little help icons. We've got a guidance in the knowledge base. We've been recording this webinar, so we'll share the link to this after the call. Sorry, after the webinar, and yeah, there's other advice on our blog, so keep an eye out for the blog as well, and in the newsletter, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people swapping ideas and things on our Facebook community as well.
Yeah, and we don't have more questions. So
no. Okay. Great. All right. Brilliant. Yes. So once again, thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope that's been clear. As I say, any questions? Yeah, there is help in the knowledge base on the support form that will come through you, usually to myself or Diana. Yeah. I hope you enjoy using Memo, and yeah, any other suggestions or for improvements or other things that you would like it to do, then yeah, please do let us know. We will be adding yeah, new features and more over time. So yeah, please do let us know.
Just one last thing. Talk about again our Facebook group. If you can tell them a little bit more about that, please. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a private Facebook group that is yeah, it's facebook.com/touchstayrockstars, I think. If you can't find it, then yeah, just drop us a line on the support, and we can send you the link to it. But yeah, so it's a private Facebook group. I think there's over kind of 1,000 members on it now, and yeah, people will just swap ideas and ask questions, and yeah, review each other's guides. And then there's people from the TouchStay team on there as well that kind of moderate the group, and will be there for answering questions and providing guidance.
Okay, I just shared the link on the chat, so they will be able to click there and join the group.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Thanks, Diana. That's a good idea.
And I think that's all. No more questions.
Okay. All right. Well, yes. Thanks again. Thanks so much for joining us today. Yeah, we'll share the recording of this once it's ready. And yeah, I hope you enjoy using our new feature. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.